Hey folks, I'm Shooshtari. I'm the field director, at the Grassroots Democrats HQ, and I'm also a student at San Jose State University. I'm originally from Stockton, California, and I'm here to help organize and mobilize people to make sure that in 2022 people show up to the polls and vote. Yes, thank you, John I. American democracy is an idea that inspires millions, if not billions of people around the globe. Living in the United States, the nation that proclaims to be the leader of the free world, was and is a goal for many people, my parents included. In 1999, my parents immigrated here with my sister from Iran to escape the sanctions that made getting medical care for somebody with disabilities nearly impossible. They also wanted to guarantee that their children would be able to grow up in a free, small d democratic country. They were looking for political stability, and in 1999, that is exactly what the USA had to offer. However, a lot has changed since 1999. From war to seemingly regular school shootings, a recession, the shocking election result of 2016, a pandemic, and that consequential recession, and also finally, a year ago today, an insurrection. For my generation, and for perspective, I'm 21, so I'm Gen Z, it can feel like political turmoil is the norm. In fact, nearly half of young Americans believe that either American democracy is at risk of failing or has already failed. Half of young people think that American democracy is at risk of failing. Though Gen Z happens to be one of the most politically involved generations, the despair my peers are feeling is real. And to be frank, I have to be 100% honest, I totally see where they're coming from. We grew up watching one crisis after another on the news, but at our democracy's most vulnerable moment, we literally cannot afford to despair. After all, an attempted coup without any accountability is just a dress rehearsal. And I, as somebody who used to do theater, one of our superstitions was that if you have a really bad dress rehearsal, that means your opening night is going to be an incredible performance. But it's important to note that history shows that when young people step up and their voices are uplifted, we're capable of making necessary change. From Barbara Rose Johns' nonviolent protests and strikes that aided in desegregating our schools, to Mary Beth Tinker's persistence leading to Tinker versus Des Moines that ruled in favor of protecting student speech, history proves that when people take collective action, we can create a more equal and more just America. These victories were thanks to the collective action and persistence of the coalitions these young women built. However, to succeed in saving American democracy, there must be a we. People of all ages, races, ethnicities, religions must convene for collective action. There is a role for absolutely every single person in this movement, and it's truly all hands on deck. Whether your special skill is organizing, creating art, recruiting allies, distributing information, contacting elected officials, or something else, your time and your effort is needed and wanted in this movement. Your presence, and please, do not underestimate the importance of showing up. Your presence and solidarity today and going forward, of course, is crucial to building our movement of creating a more free, a more just, and a more equitable United States. Your voice matters. Now, we need you to use your voices to ensure that another January 6th will never happen again in the United States. Let's make sure those insurrectionists never get that successful opening night that they so desperately crave. Our nation can only be revitalized by hope and collective action. That's it. The belief that we can rebuild the structure of our country to become a more perfect union is what will allow democracy to prevail in the face of right-wing militants seeking to demolish our democracy. For nearly 250 years, the United States has managed to uphold the democratic transfer of power, and we will do everything in our power to ensure that the will of Americans is not diminished by a loud and hateful mob. This is our time to rise up and work collectively to defend our democracy, to pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the Protecting Our Democracy Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and of course, DC statehood. We need you to call your senators and encourage your friends to do the same. We will not allow hate to win. American democracy is here to stay. Yeah.